Stay tuned for an exclusive interview with R&B and Soul sensation, Zamani. We're here today joined by Zamani. Zamani, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today on Spartan TV.
Of course, I'm happy to be here.
So Zamani, you've spent lots of time, touring and playing different shows and venues. When you're out playing, what's one thing you miss most about home?
Well, I would say that in terms of when I perform kind of close to home within the Maritime region, it feels very similar to home. So I don't have to necessarily miss home, but I get to experience like another extension of what I'm kind of used to, and extend that maritime kind of hospitality. I love just how we have such a beautiful community in terms of music. I feel like people really appreciate what they're hearing, and they're always very, very kind. And so I love that about this area. I love that about being from the Maritimes. But when I'm away from home, like further away, I've had the chance to actually perform in Boston at the Boston Tree Lighting, in St. Lucia at the St. Lucia Roots and Soul Festival, and also in the Netherlands. And I think what I miss is kind of that smaller, close-knit feeling, because sometimes in those bigger cities it can feel a little bit more corporate or a little bit less personal. But I think it's something that you have to kind of get used to as well. But I mean, you can always go back home and get your fix again.
And I mean, you could see that, evidently, even here at the East Coast Music Awards. I mean, everyone, you go up, you can speak to anyone, and they're all just willing. Everyone's friendly. Everyone's
so kind, so kind.
So awesome.
Yeah.
I love the East Coast.
Me too.
So, Zamani, who's like a musician or a band that you draw inspiration from, and what is it about them that inspires you?
I have a lot. I listen to a lot of different musicians and artists. I would say that lately I've been listening to a lot of Tiana Major 9, a lot of Chloe and Halle, and Layla Hathaway, all for different reasons, because Tiana Major 9, she has a kind of a jazz style to her vocal style, and she inspires me because I love jazz. Jazz is one of my favorite genres of music, and so to watch her incorporate jazz into a modern genre, R&B and soul, is really inspiring, because that's what I want to do. I also love Chloe and Halle because they're different. They have a kind of a different way of performing and speaking, and their presence is very motivational to me. When I watch them perform, it gives me chills, it gives me goosebumps, because it inspires me to do what they do. And then vocally, I love me some Layla Hathaway. She's absolutely amazing. Her father is Donny Hathaway, who is like a veteran. And I think her voice is just out of this world, and she sings like none other. Her range is impeccable, from like the depths of as low as you can go to as high as you can go. And she's awesome. She is amazing, and she can do this really cool thing where she can like harmonize with herself.
No way.
Really cool. And I don't know how that's possible. I'll see if I can teach myself to do something like that. I don't know.
Zamani, I have faith in you.
Yes. Cross your fingers for me. I don't know how good I'll do, but.
Okay, awesome. So, Zamani, many musicians have been fortunate enough to grow up with music, and in your case, that's especially true. I mean, both of your parents are very successful musicians, both ECMA winning artists,
Yeah.
So, how did that have an impact on your musical journey?
It's been like the foundation for me. My dad's a jazz musician. He plays guitar, he's self-taught. He also taught himself how to produce music. And we've always had a studio at our home. And so when I was little, would always come into the studio and watch him produce. And so that, I think, was like seeping into my brain subconsciously from a young age. And so that's why I'm doing what I'm doing now, and why I'm able to, because I've seen it be done. My mother was the leader of the a cappella quartet for the moment, and their harmonies are just so rich. And so for me, I've kind of taken that, and I love to do harmonies in my music. I can't do a song that doesn't have 3-part harmony. So I take what I've seen and what I've learned, and then I apply it in my own kind of way. And also like seeing their ECMAs on the trophy case, like, you know, it's like, I'm gonna do that one day. And so,
And you
so
did.
here I am.
Yeah, here you are. I mean,
Yeah.
too. And like you just won one, like what, like an hour ago? Like,
I know. I mean, I've not to like brag, but like I've surpassed them. My dad has 2, my mom has 1. I've got 3, so telling them to move their trophies off the case. No, I'm just kidding.
oh, that's awesome. So, you know, starting in your musical career, what were some like hurdles, I guess, that you faced, and how did you overcome those hurdles?
Yeah, I think thinking about this question, one of the biggest ones is ourselves as artists. We tend to be our worst critics. That's always said, and it's very true, that we can kind of stifle ourselves from doing what we want to do because, you know, whether it's perfectionism or just like imposter syndrome, like I'm not good enough, you know, I face that like every day, even throughout this week. I'm like, oh my God, the words, I don't know, I'm crossing my fingers, but I don't want to get too hopeful, you know what I mean? So just looking at yourself in the mirror and kind of doing a reality check, like, okay, I've worked hard to get to where I want to go, and yeah, just kind of seeing the value in yourself and knowing that that's really important, because even if nobody else believes in you, you have to be the person to push yourself forward and motivate yourself. And so I think also too, being a Black woman who produces is a big hurdle, because music has been dominated by men in terms of like the engineering and production side, and by white men. And so to come into that space and kind of try to like disrupt it is a lot. It's a big task, but it's something that is necessary. And I'm not the first to do it. You know, we've got like Renee Smith, and actually I just did a piece with Aaron Costello and Bria Isabel and Renee Smith, and we all talked about what it's like to be women in production. And that to me is something that is so needed, and I hope that other young women get to see that and to do that as well, because it's possible, and yeah, we need more of it. We need more of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've done more than just like disturb. You know, you've dominated it, really. I mean, if you look at all the success, 3 ECMA awards already.
And it's also nice because I don't have to rely on other people to produce for me
right.
as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You know,
so you can just
totally
go
independent. Just, you know, I have this idea. Boop, there you go. Don't have to call anyone up. So
exactly.
Yeah, it's a very great skill to have. Yeah. Absolutely. So Zamani, when you're collaborating with other artists, what do you think the key to successful collaboration?
I think the key to successful collaboration is like getting to know the person you're collaborating with. A lot of the time when you're like, so from my experience in co-writing, which I hadn't done a lot of until like 2019, I was kind of writing with people that I didn't know very well. And it's interesting because you kind of get to know each other through writing, because you're kind of getting to see into that person's brain and how they think and how they form ideas. And so getting to know the person helps to kind of merge your ideas in a way that's harmonious. I also think that, you know, as someone who's been like shy and a little bit kind of quiet and not very forthcoming with my ideas, it's very important to be with people who can like understand you and create space for you to share your ideas, especially if you're someone who kind of likes to let other people take the lead. So yeah, just being around people who are like thoughtful and just like also having fun, because collaborating can be a little bit stressful if you're new to it, especially, and you feel like your ideas might not be good enough or you don't want to share them. So yeah, being with people who create space and let you share and contribute.
Yeah, and I mean, there's no point in doing it if you're not enjoying it. You know
exactly.
what I mean? So that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, you talked about in other interviews that you know, when you kind of started songwriting, you kind of wrote about experiences that you didn't really, you know, experience yourself, and you kind of wrote about that.
Yeah.
But then you kind of switched to, you know, things that you have experienced and have done. Mm-hmm. What impact did that have on your songwriting?
I think when I first started songwriting, I was like a lot younger too. So I guess I hadn't experienced much. And so I was using my imagination to fill in the gaps. And I was a very imaginative kid, very, very, like I had like a movie screen in my brain. And I would use that. That was my little secret weapon. And as as I'm getting older and continuing to like experience things and travel and meet people and do things, I'm experiencing a wider range of emotions and a broader scope of experiences in life in general. I'm having more things to write about and to put into song and to use as a way to express what I'm feeling and what I'm going through. And so also just as a means of making songs that can relate to other people as well, that they can hear and be inspired by or feel understood through. Writing songs that make people feel heard or understood is really important as well, because when I was younger, I loved to listen to music that made me feel heard and understood. So I would love to do the same for other people as well.
Mm-hmm. So thinking back to your kind of imaginative brain and all that stuff, on the topic of Mother's Day, you produced a music video about your mother.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was almost the feelings that you had making that music video and kind of almost sharing your mother's story?
I think it's like a deep connection, because a lot of what I do, my mom is very involved in my music.
Your momager.
So, my momager, exactly. That she loves that word. She loves it. She's very, very deeply involved in what I do, and so to be able to like do something that's kind of focused on her was very nice, because she's always focusing her attention and her time on me. It's nice to kind of do that, and highlight her and what she does, and recognize her accomplishments and how she's impacted me. I think it was just something that it's hard to articulate, but it's more of a visceral kind of thing. It's visceral for sure, and a deep bond and connection. Yeah.
That's special.
Yeah.
That's very special.
Absolutely.
So Zamani, the East Coast Music Awards are, more than just the award show itself. There's multiple, like, I guess, layers and aspects to it. And we talked earlier about, fashion. You're really into fashion, really into drawing up. So I guess, what is it about the outfits? What does that mean to you?
I think it means a lot to me, because I look at who's going to be in the audience. I look at what kind of event it is, what time of day it is, and what songs I'm singing, and take all of those elements and see, like, what can I wear that expresses all of those things. And so, or even like that kind of challenges it, because at the award show on Thursday, I sang a kind of a soft and slow song, but I felt that my outfit was kind of like contradictory to that. It felt a little bit more like, I don't know, I would say like punk or whatever. I don't want to put it in a box, but like, I had on like black from head to toe, and I took an old sweater of mine, chopped off the arms, cut some holes in it, made some thumb holes, made some gloves, and I actually took some scrunchies, some hair elastics, and tied it on the end to keep it from slipping off. And then tightened up the wrists by throwing some bracelets over top of it. And I think it's just like, it's fun to like get creative with color, with contrast, and it's another form of art and expression for me, because I'm into all things creative, whether it's drawing, painting, music, fashion, hair, makeup. I always love to do some dramatic eyes when I'm on stage, and so I think there's a lot to play with and to express yourself through that I absolutely love. Yeah.
And I mean, it's evident, the creativity just flowing through you. There's so many examples of the awesome work and creativity you've done.
Thank you.
Zamani, that's all the questions I have for you today. Thank you so much for sitting down with us today on Spartan TV.
Of course, thank you.
If you love Zamani as much as we did, you can find links to her music and socials right here.